All right, welcome everyone. Ken here with Binary Pro Strategies. This is going to be the recap here, weekly recap for the week ending on August 21st of 2020. And as always, before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about trading. Now, those that have watched my video last week, I think I shocked a lot of people, and I really wanted to, because one of the things I talked about is I mentioned that the majority of people that trade will never make money, trading. And that doesn't mean that you can't make money trading. But I think a lot of people come into it with the wrong mindset. So I want to talk a little bit more about mindset and expectation. See, I think there's a lot of disinformation out there. I think there's this idea that if you buy a particular method or technique, that all you have to do is blindly follow it, and you're going to make a lot of money. So every time this particular method or technique or system, whatever you want to call it, says to buy, you're going to be a buyer. And every time it tells you to sell it, you're going to sell it. And you're going to put your stops in where it tells you to put your stops in and all those things. But I mean, most people have never stopped to think about what would really happen if there was a method like that actually did work, that black and white, where all you had to do is buy and sell. Assuming somebody would even be willing to sell something like that, let's say they did sell it, right? So everybody that bought it would be making money. So what's going to happen? Well, you know how it is. One person is going to tell another person, and then before you know it, everybody's going to want to be trading that particular system, right? So there gets a point of saturation. So think about it logically. If you have everybody out there wanting to buy a particular stock or a particular Forex pair, eventually it's going to get to the point where you're not going to have any sellers, because everybody's going to know that this particular system is telling you to buy, and the system makes money, is always making money, right? So who's going to sell it? So what's going to happen is eventually that particular method is going to stop working, because everybody's going to want to be a buyer and nobody's going to want to be a seller. And it would self-destruct. So a lot of people don't think about that, but that's reality. There is never going to be any method, any system, any technique, any system, and anything that's ever going to be able to be traded in a black and white fashion. It's just not going to work. And I think a lot of traders come in expecting that, okay? They come in with this, it's almost like tunnel vision, all right? They buy a program or they buy a technique, and every time it says to buy and every time it says to sell, they're buying and selling. And that is never going to be a winning strategy, because you see, markets just don't work that way. To be successful is you have to really have more of a holistic approach. You have to look at the overall market. What does the overall market do? You have to be looking at the particular instrument you're trading. I don't care if it's gold, silver, Aussie US, pound US. Every single one of these has their own unique personality. And they all have ways that they interact with other markets. So you have to have more of a holistic approach. Okay, you have to look at the overall market. But the other thing is you have to be able to put in screen time. You have to know whether whatever this technique or method that you're using, not only is it based on sound principles, because a lot of things are not. Good example would be indicators. Indicators are based on price behavior or prior price behavior. That's never going to be a reliable indication of whether you should buy or sell. I mean, the key to the best you're ever going to do is patterns. Behavioral, I call them behavioral patterns. Those are predictable. Those help you, but it doesn't mean they're 100%. And it doesn't mean that they're going to work in every single environment. I mean, you cannot predict what people are going to do. You can have a burning building, and I can say I'm pretty sure that 98% of the people in that building are going to be rushing out of that building. That's predictable, right? Burning building, I can predict, but that's a percentage, right? That's nothing but tells me that the majority of people. But what about the other 2%? Well, you've got the firemen. They're going to actually be running into the building, right? Or you may have those that forgot something and they want to go ahead and take a chance and get their belongings. So you can never be 100%. The behavioral pattern or behaviors can never be 100% predicted. Okay, it's the same way in the markets. Okay, so yes, we can put the odds in our favor. My method does put the odds in your favor. But it doesn't mean that just because you have a 85% probability of making money in a particular pair doesn't mean that you're going to make money, because you may be trading in a situation to where the markets are not, they're not moving. They're not going to give you the opportunity that you're going to be looking for. And so that's why you have to really look more holistically. You have to be able to understand how a particular pair, how does the overall market affect a particular pair, right? If gold is moving in a certain direction, what is silver going to be doing? Or crude oil, how does it affect the stock market? Those kind of things. So you have to have a more holistic approach. The other thing you have to be able to do is be able to adapt. So let's say that you're a person who loves trading the Aussie USD. You've done extremely well, and then all of a sudden you notice that it's not doing so well. Well, you've got to be able to adapt, and you have to be able to move over to another pair that is moving. And that's one reason why we keep track on a daily basis. We keep a track of our what we call naked stats. Naked stats are simply the buy and sell, the black and white buy and sell setups. Do you trade that? No, you do not trade that. But we keep track to see what is meeting or what is acting in a normal fashion, and when is it starting to not act normal? When is it not acting like it has in the past? And so we have to be willing to adapt and move over to another pair. One of the things that I'm focusing more on now is the U.S. yen. U.S. yen was always my favorite. Then I went to the euro, euro-US, and now I'm going back more to the U.S. yen. You have to be willing to adapt, but you also have to be able to look at the overall market and say, you know what, I know that the yen tends to do very good in these kind of markets based on what I'm seeing, and so be willing to make that change over to another pair. So you don't want to approach trading tunnel vision. You want to be able to look at things more in a holistic way. Remember, these are tools. We provide tools to you. Now, am I providing what I feel is the best tool? Yeah, I can give you, you want to build a house, I can give you the best hammer out there, right? Gold-plated hammer, whatever the case may be. Just because you get a hammer from me instead of going down to, there's nothing wrong with Walmart, but let's say you buy a hammer at Walmart or a grocery store, right? It's not going to be, it's not going to hold up, right? It's not going to be as well constructed as that gold-plated hammer that I sold you. But it doesn't mean because you have the best hammer out there, all of a sudden you're going to be able to go out and build a house, right? You have to learn how to use that hammer. You need other tools, right? You need saws and drills and all kinds of things if you want to build that house. It's not going to happen just with a hammer. So you got to think about that when you're trading, all right? Don't get tunnel vision. And if something's not working, it's because more than likely, and I've seen this over and over again, people get tunnel vision and they get frustrated because something's not working. Well, you know what? If this was an easy game, everybody would be doing it. So you have to put in screen time. You have to be willing to adapt to the market, and some people are going to get it, and then there's going to be people that will never get it. I mean, that's just the reality of trading, folks. I'm a shoot straighter, and I'm telling it to you from straight. I have what I feel are the best tools. These are the tools that have worked with me, that have been working for me, consistently. But, I spend at least 12 hours every single day trading, and so I know a lot about the markets and how they move and what's working, what's not working, and when to take a trade, when not to take a trade. That's only going to come through experience. You're not going to get it by buying my program or any other program. You've got to be willing to put in the time, okay? And you need to be patient, right? A lot of traders are not patient. Be patient. Give yourself several months to be consistent. Don't trade live money. Trade a demo account until you can become consistent, where you're making money on a day-by-day basis every day. I say you want to be profitable 9 out of every 10 trading sessions. So if you're like me and you're trading 2 sessions, right, you've got you want to be at least out of 9 of those sessions, you want to be profitable. That's when you're ready to start looking at going live. But that doesn't mean you just jump into a live account. We have videos that show you how to do baby steps. You slowly work your way over to a live account, because when you're live, now you've got a whole new set of emotions. Okay, now we're trading with your money, right? Real money. And so there's a whole new factor of getting the emotions out of the way and being able to change your mindset in the way that you look at things, particularly losses, right? I teach my students that losses are opportunities. Most people try to avoid losses. Well, if you try to avoid a loss, you're going to have more losses, and that's just the way it works. What happens is people get into the market and they trade and they have a loss, and they're so upset, and you know, they have their hearts beating, and they're so confused they can't think straight. And then the next time a trade comes around, they hesitate to pull the trigger, and that's the good one, right? And then and then there's another one. They get frustrated. Oh, I should have gotten to that one, you know. And then the next one comes along, and they hesitate. Oh man, I should have gotten that one. That would have been another winner. Okay, I'm ready. I'm going to jump back in, and then get in, and they take another loss. So they get in this repetitive cycle of taking the losses and missing the winners because they're not thinking straight. They're getting too involved with every single trade. You can't get involved with every single trade. If you get involved with every single trade or every single day, you're not going to make it because the emotions are not going to allow you to sustain continuing the trade, a particular method over and over and over again, right? We can put the odds in your favor. We can do that, but it's still going to be up to you to be able to use that. And not only that, is have the discipline to stick with the method. And one of the big things that I feel is important is not only just sticking with the method, but does the method, is there some basis behind it, all right? Is there some logic behind it, why it works? I mean, is it just because I throw up a 21-day moving average or a 200-day moving average, you know, there's a lot of self-fulfilling prophecy there, but you're not going to be able to make money just on that. I mean, there's just no way. Where does it say that the market has to do something, a 200-day moving average? Well, what's to say a market has to start going down once it crosses a 20-day moving average? I mean, it's insanity what people think, and it just doesn't work that way. It's the behavioral patterns, the patterns in the market that make sense. And there's got to be a reason why. Why does this particular market, why is it that when there's a fire in a building, why does everybody rush out of the building, right? Those are the kind of things that I'm looking at. You know, I'm looking for the burning building. That's one of the things I look for. I look for that burning building. That becomes a lot more predictable than, you know, if I'm just sitting in front of the mall and watching people come and go. I can't tell you how many people are going to be going in and how many people are going to be going out. Is it going to be 50-50, or is there going to be 75% more people going into the mall than going out of the mall? But if that mall starts on fire, then yeah, now I can start getting a little bit more accurate in my predictions, and because there's a reason behind it, right? It's not just because there's a fire. So I know how people react when there's a fire, right? Those are the kind of things we want to look for when we get into the market. So anyway, that being said, let's get into our stats. Overall, stats not too bad this week, not great. Still a little bit lower than I'm expected in the year, but once again, I'm starting to move more and more over into the yen, okay? You can see that the yen did extremely well in the day at 72%, but not so good at night, right? So one of the things that I do a lot of is, as you know, this is based on, these naked stats are based on the core strategy, and this is one pattern called the PAP pattern. Well, we do have other patterns that work in certain conditions and some that do not. So PAP gets weak, I'm going to be looking at some of my other patterns, like maybe a pairing pattern, or maybe I'm going to be looking at a delta pattern, right, which has been really hot. So, you know, looking at the market and looking at the tools that I have and saying which one is working right now in this condition, which one is not working in this condition, is going to be an important factor. So you do have to keep track of your trades, right? It's not easy. You've got to keep track of these trades. I do provide workspace. I do provide Excel spreadsheets that are set up. All you have to do is put in the results. But all that is very important when it comes to trading. You have to have that information. You have to know how things are working, what's not working, what conditions am I in. All those things are very important to be a successful trader. So, but still, odds are, I can put the odds in your favor. You still have to make those odds work for you. Okay, so stats for the week. Now, you know that right now I am no longer trading the core strategy during the day. My focus continues to be only on the crystal ball. Already completed my 500 days trading the core strategy in the chat room live with my students. Now what I'm doing is I'm focusing on CB trades. And once again, the difference between the two is the CB method takes you to a whole new level. And if you're a newbie, still just starting out, never traded before in your life, Don't be jumping into the CB. You really want to focus on the core strategy. You want to get that under your belt before you think about going to CB. CB is a lot more powerful in the sense that it gives me indication of size and direction. Okay, that's real important because then I can now start trading deep out of the money instead of trading in the money like I do with the core strategy. You can make money trading in the money, obviously, as I've proven with the core strategy, but you also have to be willing to adjust contract size. It's not as big a factor when you're trading the crystal ball because I'm trading deep out of the money. So I'm risking maybe $20 to make 80, or I'm risking 15 to make 85. You know, those are really good odds. So I can be wrong several times and I can still stick with ones and still make money. Okay. So, but right now, if you're just a new trader, or let's say you've been unsuccessful in your trading, core strategy is a good way to go. Once you get that under your belt, then you always move over to the crystal ball. Okay. So, looking at the upcoming week, I'm still expecting to see some really good activity. I'm still expecting the Aussie and the Euro to start to firm up here. Also the pound. I think that the US yen has been pretty much where it's been, 75%. But it's been very consistent during the day. So I've been watching that yen and focusing and telling my students to focus more on the yen now. Used to be all we'd look at was the Aussie and the Euro. Now we're focusing more on the yen. Still staying away from the pound. But still watching the Aussie and the Euro to see if they heat up, but really watching that yen a lot more as we move into these next several weeks. And that can change. Euro may be my favorite here in another month. I don't know, but right now, yen is my favorite. Okay, as far as first trade of the first trade of the day, I hit what 3 out of 5 this week. Still where I would expect to be on a longer term basis. I don't look at my overall results based on what they've done over 1 or 2 days. Where am I after 20, 30, 40 trades? That's what's important, right? And so I'm still at somewhere around that 85% in terms of wins. My nightly, which I don't post those videos, my nightly's first trade out of the gate, all the first trades out of the gate at night were 100% winners. So overall, not too bad. That puts me somewhere around the 80% overall for the week, looking at all the trades. But nonetheless, still doing very well on the first trade of the day. And once again, nothing magical about the first trade of the day. It is a first trade of the day based on a naked setup. So I'm not using any kind of filtration, right? I'm just looking at that very first trade of the day based on a naked setup. I don't suggest that you trade that way, but that is what I am showing, that we're putting the odds. We can still put the odds in our favor, trading naked stat, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to be trading every single naked trade. When you're looking to be a successful trader, you still want to look at the overall market, right? That's the point of the first trade of the day, is not to say, hey, I think you all should trade this way. I'm just showing that on a percentage basis, you still have really good odds with the naked stats, but that is a starting point. It doesn't mean you trade that way, and don't make that black and white and get tunnel vision and thinking that's the way to trade. So anyway, that's it. Good week overall, and I'm expecting as we move into the following weeks and months, I think things are going to heat up. I go back and I look at my results over the last several years, and as I move into September, October, they've always been really good months for me. So I'm expecting to have some upcoming really nice months and a lot of activity, a lot of good volatility, a lot of good follow through. All those things are important when it comes to trading, particularly trading ADX binaries. That's it. Anybody have any questions? You can always go to my website, binaryprostrategies.com. Please subscribe. I'll keep you up to date on any new videos. I do have some new videos. I'm going to be talking more about trading and how to become more of a successful trader. And please give me a thumbs up if you like these videos. Besides that, I will see you all next week with the next weekly recap. Take care.